here. Let's do that. All right, here we go. Okay, so it's been a couple. I've just been getting the yard all trimmed up because it was getting out of hand and it rained a lot, so I had to take advantage of the days that it didn't rain. I figure I'll catch up here for a minute or two. So if you watch this later on, you can skip this if you want. But I'm going to go over a couple of things that have happened in my life real quickly, which made me think of what we're going to talk about today as far as debtor's prison goes. Some of you might not know the term. I really didn't think I did well in a high school history class, but it seems like I did retain a lot of information. I'm not great with dates, and I'm the first to, like, that's my weakness. I tell my testimony because I feel like I was compelled to do that. I feel like I was asked to do that because for whatever reason, things that are happening on the public stage happen in my life first. So I want to warn you about a couple of things regarding finances and banking, um, and our school debt and things like that. So let's talk about that. Now, we're very, I think, hyper aware, most of us, that everything trickles downward. We often get blamed for things from the top. I'm going to write a quick drawing here just to show you what I mean about a couple of things as I go on here. It's just a little quick drawing. It's just a couple of triangles with a little person. But I'm going to show it to you in a couple of minutes so that hopefully you'll understand how important you are in all of this. Now, a lot of people, even alleged Christians, will tell you that the media and people are trying to push things for this apocalypse to happen. Let's keep in mind, apocalypse, really, the book of the apocalypse is the apocalypse written by John of Patmos, and it means the revealing. It doesn't necessarily mean. But then you do have the war of Gog and Magog. So I'm going to talk about what to watch out for with your finances because something happened to me that I want to make you aware of. I want to remind you of something in the past that I think is going to become prevalent again. And maybe you'll have had this experience recently. I'm going to tell you about, calling in a customer service and what happened with me and why I think you need to be careful with your banking right now. I used to work for a pretty big bank. I started as just a collector and then I moved up to a processor. So I handled a lot of money, digitally speaking, and I did a lot of reports. I also worked in the healthcare sector. I was a nurse aide for several years. I worked in restorative therapy, showers, assisted living. I got Employee of the Year award. I'm not telling you that to prop myself up. I'm telling you, I do have some credentials behind myself before all of this stuff exploded. And I believe that's why my credibility was kind of ruined because, again, all of these things happened in my life first, and not because of me, because there's people around me, I believe, that are of the elitist. You have to understand there are people around you who have sold out to this. And what you're seeing happen now, and I'm not going to talk about it a lot because other people are going off a little bit. I'm going to wait, but we see things are happening again, and we will probably experience more lockdowns. I want you to be hopeful, and I want to wake something up in you, and hopefully this will help. Real quick, I'm not a doctor. No part of this is medical advice, but I like to show you guys what I'm doing. I'm not going to read it to you or anything. You can pause it to look at it. I always change the brands. I always try to do holistic or Etsy just because I know there are people that dislike me. And you can see even the deodorant I used went on recall. So I'm very careful not to buy the same things over and over again. And I told you to be very careful with your products because in the past, during times of war, they tell you that things don't happen on your homeland, but they do. It's just not with weapons of war that you're used to, that you're accustomed to. So we're going to talk about that regarding your finances. Real quick, this is what I'm doing right now. I try to do this every month, at least for a week, and I also intermittently fast. Right now, I'm also taking this to clean myself out and whatnot. I'm also taking this. Now, it's up to you, but I think it might be necessary with some things that are going on. And this as well. And it's good in tincture because your body will absorb it. My body doesn't seem to absorb vitamins like everybody else. And I'm on one last medication, and I'm talking about this because it's important, because you're going to see a lot of things. Scarcity is going to become a big problem. That's why the food prices have gone up, guys. It has nothing almost to do with war or any of that. I told you years ago the problem was going to be scarcity. There's not going to be enough. Your fruits and vegetables aren't lasting long, because when you get them, they're old. They've already been frozen a couple of times. They're pumped full of these um, things to preserve them. And I'm concerned that there are no nutrients in the food that people are eating right now, that some of it might even be 3D printed. And your device will start. I don't want it to restart. Like, don't do that. I don't want you to do this every time I do a video. So, real quick, here's what happened to me. I went to my bank account, and I was going to open up another savings. Again, I used to work for the bank. I have a grandfathered in account, a very old account, and another account. I have a joint account, my account, and then I was going to open up a savings, which is free, right? So I go on my online app, and it says to me that you have to provide information and documentation on what you plan to do with your funds in your savings account. Now, I did take a screenshot of that, so I may try to share that on the community page just as a receipt, as proof or evidence to back up what I'm saying. Let me be clear about this. Anytime somebody has a large amount that they're investing or putting into a bank, or a money market account, these are big people. You'll have your own private banker that you'll work with. They will be very accustomed with how you do business with your accounts, what should be coming in, what should be going out, cash flow, all that stuff. That's normal. And they need to give an answer for like certain things. And I understand that, especially with trafficking and crime and whatnot. To a point, I get it. I just wanted to open a bank or a savings account, start saving like $20 out of each check, or here and there, $20 a week. But I don't like that. I don't like that there was a warning before I even did anything, before they knew how much I was gonna like put in. That has never shown up before. And again, I worked for the bank. Yes, it was years ago, but you have to understand, fundamentally the templates never change. And I worked in cell phones too. And what they're doing now, I have a very good idea. They're on a different grid, guys. You have to understand, the military themselves, they're on a whole different grid. They don't even use the same digital grid for their phone and cellular service that we use. They're on the old TDMA, CDMA. We are beyond the SIM card now in the public. There's a reason for that. The old technology, actual physical files, actual physical SIM cards, CDMA and TDMA, the networks are better. Digitally, they know, and this is going to get woo a little bit when we talk about the data centers. Digitally speaking, they know what they're doing with having cameras everywhere and having these devices in our homes, because they are highways for spiritual frequencies to affect you, because we are electric beings. We're a third water, which is a conductor, right? We'll get into that. Let's talk a little bit real quick. Now, here's the next thing I want you to be aware of. My student loan. I've been trying since before Rona, since before the first lockdowns, to get on a payment plan. I don't care if I give you $5 a month. That's what my spouse is doing. He always gets stuff from the university about alumni. I get nothing. He went the same time I did. I worked us both through school. I put us both through. I was working full-time job, taking care of my dad in Pittsburgh. We were driving every weekend to Pittsburgh, and I was getting a degree. He is like a real student. Like, he gets all this information. I get nothing. So I call a couple of times, right? The last time I called, and I will not forget this, the man I spoke with, because I always get their name, because again, I've worked professionally for a long time in a lot of sectors. You always want to get their agent ID, the person's name that you're speaking to. You want to have this information. His name was Moon Dragon. Like, really? Really? That's your name? Okay. So I wanted to get on a payment plan, right, for my student loan. They're not accepting any payment plans. They're not accepting payments. I'm like, but I live with my spouse. He went to the same school. Well, I'm sorry, we're not getting anyone on payment plans now. I've called several times for that. So I called SSI the other day because I'm kind of done with this. I'm like, I don't want to be stigmatized anymore. If we are doing that bad as a country, I don't want to get SSA anymore. I'll figure something out, right? And I know that I busted my butt in healthcare. I know that I busted my back. They should be retraining me for something I can do and something I'm good at, something that's applicable, for a skill set I already have. Just because I can't lift people anymore doesn't mean I'm useless. But they get you on all this medication. A lot of it, I think, is why I couldn't work, because it gets you really like drunk almost, right? You're on all these different medications. You're trying to figure out what works for you. At the time when I first, like, my body first gave out, I had a couple of herniated discs. I'm telling you this because these things happen. We don't plan for these things. And right now is the worst time to try and go to a doctor or a dentist. And mine are different. The dentist that I did go, he's not in there anymore. It's almost like they're erasing me. And if you've seen my testimony, you know I'm not exaggerating, sadly. One day, someday, probably, I will tell you, I know for sure who the Antichrist is, and he will be somebody that I know. Like, I know that for a fact. So they're not allowing me to set up a payment plan, right? And immediately I thought of this. I said, they're going to set us all up to send us to debtors prison. Why would they do this? It trickles down, right? They are always blaming us. We got to come together. We got to work together. We're in this together. You guys all got to wear the masks. You guys got to not go to work. You guys got to stay away from each other. You guys got to pay. You guys gotta stop going to work, so you're gonna suffer, right? Because you can't pay for the food that you need. You can't grow the food that you need either, because you can't get land, or you do have land, but you're never there to work the land. Do you see what I'm getting at here? They're making it impossible for us. So what are they gonna do with all of us? Now understand this, guys. Trump is the perfect, ideal president, figurehead, right, if you will, to dismantle America. Take your emotions out of it. Take your personality, like if you like him, don't like him, take that out of it. Remove all that. Look at him as on paper. Business wise, he has declared bankruptcy several times to avoid paying certain debts off. He is a whiz, right? He's very intelligent when it comes to real estate. Like, he just knows what he's doing there. So when you see people declaring bankruptcy, guys, it's almost always wealthy people that do this because they understand how to work that. Okay. And they know it's only 7 years. And if they get past that, it'll be all good again. Everything will be solvent. They'll be in the clear. They won't be in the red. Thank God for my dad and all his gambling mantras. I didn't know my dad was a gambler until I grew up and I realized where all this vernacular came from. So Trump is the perfect president to sell off America. Why do you think he's meeting with all these people? Why do you think he let the MMA and all this? He is for sale too, right? He's marketing himself. He's probably getting money for each of these appearances. He is swinging the market. They're playing the market so that they can all get richer and wealthier before everything goes down. What you need to understand, though, is this is going to affect everybody. They don't know it yet and they don't see it yet, but it will affect them too because of the ones running things behind the scenes. We'll get to that in a minute. When I'm talking about debtors prison and eminent domain, I'm talking about legalese. A man's law has nothing to do with God's law. You have to understand, we're going to talk about this, but at the very end, I'm going to tell you, you are sovereign. These rules only apply to you if you want them to apply to you. And I'm not being egregious here. I'm being blunt with you. Okay, if it gets to a point, now I'm a pacifist, but I can't tell you what to do, right? And I don't know exactly what's coming, but God has shown me bits and pieces. Trump is selling off the country bit by bit. What is it called? REMs, because it's like the dream in the band. REMs, rare earth minerals, guys. The caves, the underground, all this stuff, they're selling off our beautiful, bountiful, abundant land. Again, just like they did to the Native Americans. Now, here's the thing. They're going to say we all deserve this. Americans are hard workers. Most work 2 or 3 jobs. Most put their children through school. Most try to pay off their debt and even go homeless to pay off their debts. And I'm not pumping us up here because I know we've made a lot of mistakes and things like Jersey Shore and that whole, our behavior and how we present to other countries is poor. It really is. It's not. If I was in another country and I saw us as we really are, because a lot of us aren't self-aware. When God showed me how I looked from the outside to other people when I was still all dirty and just like not in my right mind, um, coming to God is like coming to sanity. And you see how insane the society is. And again, I'm not I don't think society is bad necessarily, right? But I think certain things are going to happen, and I think we can get through it. And I don't think we're all going to be together, because certain people are going to choose one path and other people are going to choose another path, just like the Hopi said, just like the book of Revelation, just like the Quran. God warned everybody all over the earth. He warned everyone. He gave everyone their own book, every culture. Okay, and I'm not saying, I'm not the one who's going to call everyone demons, although some of it is demonic, admittedly, because we all have a common enemy, and it is the demonic. It is the spirit behind, the force, if you will, behind people like Trump, these leaders that they show you on television, Carl Schwab, and they've been villains forever. They don't really age. They're just pictures on a screen, guys. This is the mind control. They don't need FEMA camps because they have us in a FEMA camp and they don't have to pay for us to eat, right? Our TVs, our screens, the algorithms that are put through them, that is the MK Ultra. What is the definition of MK Ultra and things like Clockwork Orange? You sit somebody in front of a screen and they watch flashing images that are repetitive, and eventually that person will become that. Just like the songs today, the rap songs. You sing these things enough, you watch these things enough, you become that behavior. It was all intentional from the very jump. Now, what they're going to do again is they're going to blame us. Well, you guys got to batten down the hatches. There's got to be restrictions. There's got to be this. There's got to be that. Where are they in their safe, tucked away little villas or whatever they have as they're flying in these jets? There is a force behind this that wants revolution, that wants bloodlust. Like, that is one of the goals, too. And a lot of people, especially in America, seem to be easily persuaded to violence. That, I believe, is a spirit of repression and oppression. And I believe it's Asmodeus. I believe we're dealing with a very specific entity that's kind of hanging over us. So when I talk about debtors prison, understand this is the surface level. These are the reasons they're going to give. We've got to pay back this debt. We owe China. We got into too much credit card debt. We got into too many mortgages. Were we ever given a choice if we wanted to live in a system that was run this way? Other countries send their people to school for free because they want an educated public. An educated, well-maintained, well-balanced individual, that trickles out to the family unit. And then that trickles out to the community. And then you have well-balanced individuals, maybe not the same, but working in some type of harmony to hold the community up, to keep it running. A community whose center is money, no matter what it is never going to be sustainable. It's never going to end up solvent. You have to have a skill. You have to have something you can barter with. Because then the money, right, it makes people useless. It makes our skill sets and our talents and our natural acclamations towards certain things useless. And then we don't practice or hone our crafts, and we become useless. We become stagnant. So they're going to blame this on us in big part. And they're going to, because it's probably, I think we've had a Trojan horse. I think it's China. A lot of people don't agree with me. It explains a lot, though. Whoever is running things, again, they're using scripts. They're using The Simpsons. I saw Neuralink mentioned in an episode of G.I. Joe yesterday from the 80s. Whoever, the Antichrist is really big on pop culture, right? Because the prince of the air, the airwaves, guys, right? So TV, the screen, is his domain. Now remember, the Most High God is above him. He still has to ask permission to do anything. But the airwaves are his, hers, whatever it is. All right. But remember that God is still in control. So when I talk about debtor's prison, that's the surface level. Let me tell you what they are. They were institutions, and this is what they're going to use: our credit card debt, our medical debt, and our student loan debt to put us in debtor's prisons. And this is what they are. They're institutions where individuals were incarcerated for failing to pay debts, a common practice in Western Europe until the mid-19th century. A prison that was specifically designed for people who were unable to pay a debt. They were prevalent in Western Europe until they were mostly abolished in the mid-19th century, not very long ago. They were used to force debtors to pay their debts through incarceration. Now, let me be clear. In part, I do agree with this. If you have somebody who breaks the law, who harms another individual, who steals a car, the best thing they can do while they are in the clink is to help the community, because that also builds up trust again with that person and that community, and you can maybe avoid things like shunning and blackballing, and that person can comfortably integrate back into society, because we all make mistakes. And the lack of forgiveness that I'm seeing across the board, and the lack of compassion and empathy in the comment sections, I pray they are all bots and they're not legitimate American citizens. Hi, everyone. I didn't know there was going to be a live stream. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I hope you've been blessed. I've been doing yard work and catching up on stuff. I had to work in between the rain and stuff, so yeah. I got some sun though, which was nice. Okay, so it says, while literal debtors' prisons are rare in modern legal systems, issues surrounding debt-related incarceration can still arise, often linked to contempt of court for failure to comply with court-ordered payments rather than the debt itself. So you see this still in practice sometimes with things like community service, okay? Which again, I think is a great thing if it's utilized by the incarcerated properly. If you are doing as you're told, if you're picking up the trash, and talking to people and being personable. Forgiveness is a choice that people make, but you have to show them that you've learned that you've progressed. Okay, we do in a way have to earn our place into our groups, our societies. You don't have to earn your place into your tribe, okay, which is a little different. But you still have to be willing to be a servant in great part of your life. I think this tribal living is going to become very, very big in America again. I just hope it doesn't end up in the skyscrapers and stuff and us all jammed in like little boxes. I hope it's just families and houses. We have a lot of empty homes, guys. You have no idea how many empty homes there are. Like the population is not what they say it is. We have so many empty homes that could house the homeless. Why does a bank, an entity, need a house? A house is not a home unless people are in it. And it's not getting maintained either while the bank has the deed. Nobody wins in that situation. The bank isn't getting paid. The person doesn't have a way to pay you because now they're homeless. Nobody wants to work with a homeless person because, oh, you smell funny, you can't shower. Oh, ew. And I'm sorry, but that's the truth. We have things like the Met Gala happening, and they literally almost have to step over the homeless. I don't understand. I don't understand where the compassion is. Now, I'm going to tell you about eminent domain and a little bit more about debtor's prison, and then I'm going to tell you to forget it all because you are sovereign. So hold on a sec. I got to get into this topic, this consent thing, every video. Repetition is key. I'm not actually trying to brainwash you. I'm just trying to get you not to just be here and half listen. I want you to take in the information and utilize it and use it to help yourself and your family with what's coming. Are debtors' prisons still legal in the U.S.? Congress abolished them. Check out the year in 1833. Another key year. Despite that, state judges continued to send people to jail for failing to pay court debts. It's also a way to get your enemies. It was a rare occurrence. It became a rare occurrence, but it's a real big thing again that they do when they're rewriting history, just like all the asylums, guys. Those used to be probably castles, people's homes. And they threw all these people in who weren't willing to go with the rewrite. And it's even documented in some of, if you go look and you do your research, it's even documented in some of the cases for the patients at these asylums. Person cannot come to terms with reality. Says history is not what we say, like all this, yeah. Like they're doing right now. The protests, all that stuff you see on TV is to hide what they're actually doing with these data centers, with these flock cameras, okay? And don't be scared. You don't have to go along with any of this. You don't have to pay taxes. You don't even have to die. I don't think right now. Because I believe God is coming soon. And it's not because of what we're seeing on TV. It's because of something totally different. And I've talked about it a little bit, but people don't get it yet. Maybe they will soon. Okay. So that's what debtor's prison is. Now let me give you a little of the history briefly. I won't be here forever, but we haven't talked in a while, and this is important because, again, this is what they're going to try to do to people. This all trickles down. And the people like me who want truth and who don't want to go along with some fake story and who don't want to be re-educated, because they don't need camps, guys. These are the camps, our homes, and we pay for it. We buy our own snacks. We get chubby on our own. We're willingly giving away our liberties and our sovereignties, our natural born rights, not these rights that they say we have on paper. Though again, it's important to understand legalese so you can say, I don't consent, man. I'm not going along with this. I'm not participating. That is the best way. Anything you can opt out of this time that is connected to the system, do it. Because spiritually, you don't want to be, it is like the Kraken. It has all of these different tentacles. The more that you can detach, the more apps you can get rid of, right? The less that you can deal with, the better at this time. Because remember all them cell phones and beepers and pagers blowing up at the beginning of all this? I think it was Israel. Don't forget that. Debtors' prisons were specialized jails for people unable to pay debts. Now that's the cover story. We'll get into that in a second. Based on English traditions, they were designed to compel repayment through labor, but often created a cycle of poverty. Why? Because you get out and you have nowhere to go. The only skill you have is to serve, is to dig holes, right? While they're in there, they need to be teaching people skills. Schools need to be geared towards people's actual skill set and not where they think you belong. It was never going to work this way. It is not normal for a mother to have to send her child away for 8 hours every day and then for everyone else to tell her, oh, you're too sensitive. Oh, you're a helicopter parent. Why do you think all these children are getting abused? Let's talk about the root cause right now. Because they're all getting sent away from their mothers, their caretakers, their providers, their protectors. At 4 and 5 years old, when they're small and defenseless. This is not normal for our society. And that is one of the main reasons children are getting hurt is because we're giving them access. Stop giving them access to your families. Stop it. Take it from somebody who has a cautionary testimony, who lost everything that was important to her. Yes, I still have a roof over my head. Barely. Barely. I have no emotional support, no mental support, no spiritual support. Learn from my cautionary testimony, please. So the origins, the history of the debtors' prison, they were rooted in medieval English law. The practice moved to American colonies where debtors were jailed, often in overcrowded, disease-prone facilities. Why, guys? Why? What sense does it make to say take somebody who owes money to you out of society and put them in a place where they cannot earn money to pay you back? Because that's the cover story. Just like they're going to do with us. They're going to blame everything on us. We're the undesirables. We're the deplorables. We want truth. We don't fall for all their glitz and glam. We should absolutely do what Christ said. Clothe the naked, feed the hungry, tend to the widows. The widows I'm seeing on the screen, I don't want no part of. That's not real. So I don't have to treat her any type of way. I'm not going to bow down to these people, and you shouldn't either. And I'll tell you why in a minute. The Clink, famous London, England prisons where, like the Marshalsea, immortalized by Charles Dickens, and the Clink were notorious for keeping inmates until debts were paid or worked off. Sad thing is, though, if, again, they don't like you, or there's some other conflict, They will create reasons to keep you there. Same as the asylums. They will create some reason. Women were put away for having a spine and some free will, or so their husbands could go get younger women to breed more babies. And you have to understand that too. Trump is actually paying people to have babies now. Go back and look at World War II. Everything they did is happening again. Everything. Why does it keep repeating? Why do the fallen keep on uprising if they're in chains? Well, that's kind of spiritual. When they're actually freed, which I don't know if that's happened yet. I know in my life I've seen, and again, things happen here first and then they spread to the thing, and I go back in all my videos. I warn you about all this stuff. The conditions, debtors were often charged fees for their own incarceration. See, that's the thing. And let me tell you, it's unlawful and it's against the law, and I know this for a fact. When you fee somebody, you cannot put a fee on top of a fee on top of a fee. Late fees themselves are not legal. Interest rates have to be capped. This is why every so often you'll see presidents or Congress get involved with capping, right? Certain amounts, and they're not usually that helpful. We wish they were lower or whatever. I'm sorry. And sometimes when you're in there, they'll give you it's monopoly money. It's not even actual cash, so you can't send it to family or whatever. It's just to pay off that debt that you're inside that unit. Sometimes down south in America, they would put people in a box out in the sun. Like, that was solitary. You'd go in a box out in the sun. And they would oftentimes, all the ditches that we have instead of sewers, some of us, the prisoners used to do that. I honestly don't see anything wrong with that, because that gives them some sense of pride, some sense of being part of the community again. And then the community maybe can easier forgive these people and not shun people and not blackball them, so that when they get out, they're not homeless and you've created another problem. And we have the resources to do it. All we have to do is reroute some and reallocate some of the funds that they're already using. And let's be real, they can print as much as they want. And you're going to say, well, no, because it'll ruin this, that, and the other. Dude, it's all a show. They can go to the ATM. They can go to a bank. They can pull out whatever they want anytime. I see it happen. I'm not part of it, but I see it happen. Yes, I saw it in movies when I was a child, Prisoners in Boxes. They actually, they did that. They've done. People that get in those positions often are looking for positions of power and control to dominate other sentient beings. If slaughterhouses, do you have any idea of how many sadists that is creating? Our entire system is creating people who are full of the 7 deadlies, right? Bloodlust, actual lust for material objects, for food, right? I don't know, dude. It's really bad, but I'm going to give you hope, I hope, at the end of this. Famous inmates, notably American founding fathers. Now, this is key, too. James Wilson and Robert Moore spent time in jail due to debt, illustrating its prevalence. There were a couple presidents, too, who did. Why? Because they were political enemies of the person who was in after them or at that time. Remind you of anything, guys? Now, again, they want us to uprise. That's the goal, so that they have a reason to lock us down. That's why I'm approaching all this with caution. Do not allow your emotion. And I used to be the biggest one. Don't allow your emotions to get involved by what you see on a screen. You go pray for those people. You can hope they do well. I don't care if you donate. It's what you do is up to you. But I wouldn't get you emotionally involved with any of that. None of it. I know God is coming soon because of this disease that they're blaming on ticks. They're saying people are allergic to meat. Read Isaiah. Isaiah talks about people putting down their weapons and picking up a plowshare again. And the lion laying down for the lamb, or whichever version it is. It is enemies lying down with their prey, predators with their prey, because they're no longer seeing each other as food. They no longer see other sentient beings as food. And that is starting to happen. They blame everything here on Bill Gates, on ticks, Carl Schwab. like they gotta have these villains. It's the fallen. It's legitimately the fallen. And we live in Disneyland. Some of the people, they have us technologically blinded to how advanced we are. Have you seen some of the fireworks displays in places like China and Japan? The things they do with drones? They have us purposely like 20, 30 years behind. They did that thing with the car in space. They're releasing these dumb videos. Dude, I played Atari games that looked more real. And people are running with it. They're making content to get paid, to pay, feed their families. Content is one of the problems. We should be investigative journalism. It's not enough to clickety clack. The internet can tell us whatever it wants. You can change anything digitally. I can go in and change a Wikipedia page. I shouldn't be allowed to, but I can. You see what I'm getting at? Like you have to be skeptically cautious about things, but still hopeful, and it's a fine line. Okay, so following the War of 1812, imprisonment became seen as archaic. The U.S. formally abolished federal debtors' prisons in 1833, and most states followed suit via constitutional provisions. De facto prisons, while formal long-term prisons for debt are illegal, many U.S. courts in the 21st century have created functional equivalents. People are jailed for, quote, violating court orders, end quote, when they fail to pay legal fees, fines, or bail. I'll hold you in contempt, right? The money. If we put our materialism in check, some of this will ease up. Everyone is so focused now on the money because the money is how you feed your family. It's not going to work for much longer. This was never meant to work. You have to understand how to feed your family without the system, guys. Okay. Legal fees and debts impact. These practices often violate constitutional rights. Remember that. It's important. They also disproportionately impact low-income and minority communities. I'm concerned about Appalachia. They have a lot of rare earth minerals. They have a lot of people who've been there for generations. So, what are we going to talk about next, guys? Let's talk about eminent domain. This makes me very sad now. Me as a person, I don't believe you can own land. I think there's enough that everybody can have a few acres of their own for their own family to build as you see fit, as long as you're not harming or stealing from anybody else. There's still land guys out west. Like, you understand, when everybody went west, and what they were doing is they were trying to settle the land, and they wanted people, spread out, and they would give deeds to whoever claimed the land. And whoever started working it, it was yours if you worked the land. That's amazing, I think, and it shows amazing charity among neighbors, among fellowship. I know a guy who was working 3 jobs to pay all his bills in rent, and it's sad because right now you're working all these hours away from the place that you're paying to stay at. I'm not trying, and again, I did it for many years. I have nothing to show for it, nothing. And I'm actually glad there's nothing they can take from me at this point in time. But I don't personally think anyone can't own land. I know that might sound weird to some people. A lot of my beliefs that are just within me, they're inherent to me. If you get in touch with yourself, if you walk in silence in nature and you get to know yourself, I've noticed that a lot of my inclinations are like the Native American people. I think there's plenty for us to share. I think there's plenty for us to live in harmony. We don't have to leave our families all day. Our work is working the land. Our work is whoever's good at being a seamstress, that person makes the clothes. I will trade you. I will build your house if you put the plumbing in them. You don't need money. They only needed money because they had no skills. And money was created, make no mistake, to corrupt us. And it's done a pretty good job. And the younger generation is even worse. Gen X, we got work to do. We messed up. We were away from our kids all the time. And they grew up to be materialistic, cold individuals. Some of them, not all of them. Mine weren't. Mine were very warm until they just changed. So let's talk about eminent domain. This is started as well. I don't know if you've heard. I will do a quick toggle here and I'll click on the news because I heard a couple stories that they're already starting this. What is eminent domain? It's and again, don't believe everything AI tells you. The MFN thing, and I'm sorry, but I have to be bold there. I have to let you know I'm serious. It lies, dude. AI, like it just confirmation bias. That's all it does. And people are like that now too. If you disagree with them, or they feel like they disagree, you can see it in their face. Like they don't want to verbally disagree with you. It is the most bizarre crap I've ever seen. I did not think I would be alive to see things get this bad. I knew when I was a kid that things weren't going to last. I knew what I wanted to do and it was not this. But I, like a lot of people, caved to the pressure of my parents and society and did what I thought I was supposed to do. Um, I didn't want to have a family at first. I love children. I wanted to be a mom so bad. But because of the times we're in, I did not want to have kids. I did not want to bring anyone into this to suffer. But God is God, understand, God allows certain things. And we're never told outright, right, that like the hybrided beings, because we're all mixed now, like we don't even know, guys. Sure, DNA doesn't lie, but the people who deliver the test lie. We got to be careful. Okay, that's all I'm telling you. So, eminent domain, according to AI, I'll let you know if it sounds wrong, is the legal power of federal, state, or local governments to take private property for public use without the owner's consent. Under the Fifth Amendment, this power requires that the property be used for a public purpose and that the owner receives, quote, just compensation, end quote. Now, they do have some disclaimers here. They do have some semantics that they've gone over, some details. If you've ever seen, and I know it's probably a bad example, but I like to, we can all meet at pop culture. You might be a different religion, you might be in a different country, but pop culture, we seem to like, our culture is spread out a lot. When in Gone with the Wind, when the soldiers come and they kind of take over Terra, this is what we're talking about. Now this is in the past, as far as I know, it's only been used in times of war. Guys, you got to understand, they're not going to openly declare we're at war on our homeland. They're not going to do that. They are going to hide it as long as they can. They've been hiding it, in my opinion, since about 2019. Now, they're going to use the excuse that we owe China. But again, these people can get money anytime they want. It's never been about the money. It is about souls, but people don't want to hear that. But once you break it all down and you start pulling it apart, you see that it's about you. It's about what you have in here. Okay? Now I'm going to go over eminent domain, but then I'm going to talk to you about natural law and your power of consent and free will, the gift of grace that God gave us all. Okay, so with public domain, public use requirement, traditionally it includes that the infrastructure is used for projects like roads, schools, parks, water management, or public buildings, which again, in times of war, sometimes it's used just as barracks, sometimes it's used as a hospital. I've seen churches that become, ERs. And throughout history, Florence Nightingale, that's kind of where she got her story. Nuns, doing medical work and opening hospitals. That's kind of why they saw the need during the wars, that there was nowhere for all these wounded people to go. And so they opened up the church doors. Everybody hates on the church, but when they were more involved in things, when neighbors helped neighbors and the church encouraged that in people, we had a stronger society. There's a reason they broke all that down, guys. So it says here that just compensation means the government must pay the owner fair market value for the property taken. Now, fair market value, let's talk about that a little bit. What about sentimental value? What about the blood, sweat, and tears? What about all the upgrades, the improvements? What about all the years you put into that house? All the money, right? All the time. Time is your most valuable currency that you have here. They're not going to take any of that into consideration. And the market right now is bad. And they control the market, right? So if they know they're going to declare martial law, which is now called continuity of government, right? So things keep running. If they declare that, which again, we play hell getting them to actually tell us anything real. It's like these alien disclosures. I've seen better Atari games when I was 10 than those videos. That's all I got to say about it. They are so much more advanced than the crap they're showing us. But that's why, because they want people to be amazed. The sad thing is, I think some of it's going to actually be God. That's why I said be a pacifist. Don't fight these beings. It's a spiritual war. You pray, okay? So they control the markets, right? We see Trump right now. We know they're playing the market. This is what they're doing. Trump, Bezos, Musk, and all their high-tech friends, the lizard guy, I always feel that guy. They're playing the market. They're doing it purposely. So if they do that and they know they're going to declare continuity of government and they know they're going to go do these land grabs, which they tried doing with Helene. And I'm very suspect that this cruise thing started where? St. Helena. What is that name again? When I asked God what my name was, I did a video 3 years ago on the other channel. That's the name he whispered to me. And I told you guys that. And then they named that giant, like, it's just wild to me. And I had those dreams of those floods happening 4 years before it happened. I told you it was coming. Now they're doing land grabs. It's going to only get worse. If you have valuable land, you need to decide now how you and your family are going to react to something like this. And it's a good idea at this point to have your bug out bag packed in with you. Especially if you're someone who, like, if we get to a certain point, something is announced and you're like, muck it, I'm going to the woods or desert or wherever you decide to go, right? So if they're playing the market, guys, they're never going to give you fair market value. They're going to tank the market, declare continuity of government, and go do these land grabs through eminent domain and give you the minimal of what the land is worth and what the structures on the land is worth. We know this. We've seen how they operate. The government has not been here to help us in a long, long time. Why are congressmen allowed to gamble on the market? I don't understand that. They're the ones that kind of control it with the laws they pass or don't pass, the bills they pass or don't pass. So why are they allowed then to take that information that they know? That's like insider trading, and that is highly against the law. We have lawlessness. Like, I hope you see that. I cut the grass. I was outside all day. Please forgive my appearance. I'm kind of a mess. It's all right though. It's not about me. I was gonna do it on the laptop, but nobody sees that. When you're on a phone, at least you go through the scroll. People need to understand what's coming, and you need to know how you'll react. Now, Christ tells us not to plan what we're gonna say before, you know what I mean? However, God also says that it's good to set things aside in case of a 7-year tribulation. We know that by Joseph's dreams. So let's, sensible, balanced preparedness, if that makes sense. The formal legal proceeding used to transfer property ownership from private to public is called condemnation. Interesting enough. Delegated authority. This power can be delegated to government subdivisions. Why is that key, guys? Why are they doing everything they're doing right now through private contractors? I find it really funny that they call this new unit ICE. Is half of the word of police. Is also a street name that they use for the drug meth. And none of them are American. Not one of them that I've seen in a video. That's why they're masking. We have been invaded. We are at war. You need to know this. People are still going to work. That's great. You're still holding the system up. The longer you do that, the more it's going to hurt when the Band-Aid is pulled off. The longer you participate, you're going to see people soon in these key positions. They're going to start leaving work. And they're going to decide that they need to be with their family, that it's more important that they prepare their land, prepare their gardens, stock up, make provisions to protect their land and their families. You're going to see people leaving work. They won't go back, like the TSA, like high-risk jobs like cops. They'll be the first to go, one of the first. And the last. Some will stay very long, right? But you'll see this start to happen. People will start leaving their jobs because something will just tell them it's time for them to prepare and to be close to their families, and that they shouldn't be leaving them every day. That's going to happen soon enough anyway with this gas situation. Like, that's already going to happen. You need to have a bike. You should go to the consignment shops, get everyone in your family a bike. Every one of them. Don't get an e-bike. I cannot say that enough. Every time this man wants to do something for me, it's something dangerous. He wanted to get me an e-bike. I said no, because every time he gets me, every time something bad happens. So I said no, I don't need a motorized bike. Thank you very much. They started blowing up. They're blowing up on people now. Don't get anything motorized. Like, we need to go back to some of these older ways. It's harder to track you. It keeps you in shape, and it doesn't break down as easy. Okay? Go to the consignment shops, the thrift shops. I got my bike. I got a Schwinn for $60 a couple years ago. Granted, I've not maintained it the best, but it was $60 and it gets me around town. Okay? You might need that to drag stuff one day. Like, you just don't know where this is gonna go. So also with eminent domain, again, you need to understand, if you have land, if you have a home, especially if you have water on your land, fresh running water, you are at high risk. If you have rare earth minerals, you are at high risk for getting a knock one day. Oh, who's that? I'm in my jammies. Oh, we're getting ready to watch a movie and there's popcorn. I'm sorry, sir. We have this piece of paper that tells you we now own this. You have to leave. I don't care that you've been here 20 years or 2, 3 generations. I don't care that you have a massive garden out there that you feed the neighborhood with. I don't care that you have nowhere to put your 3 kids and your 10 cats. This is ours now. You've got to go. You have time to pack a bag if they're nice about it. You have time to pack a bag and get out. They're not going to be American soldiers. Understand this. They will not have. This is why they're sending our guys somewhere else. And we probably have gotten people from somewhere else, the UN, because they know that American citizens will not do well going against their, you know what I mean? It's bad form. Okay, they don't want us to know we're at war. They're going to wait to the very end of this, but they do want a reason to have the martial law or the continuity of government declared. They're probably going to use this V for it. Now, you've got people online saying, a very good doctor that I respected for a long time, he's saying that this isn't going to go anywhere, that it's not going to be the next pandemic. He's a doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm saying they're going to, after everything I just told you about finances and about them watching savings accounts and all this stuff, and them not taking payments for me from my student loan, somebody is legit setting me up in the system so that something like this happens to me. Resist. I am a pacifist. I do not believe in violence. I'm not going to support violence. I'm not going to tell you to go out there and be violent. But I am going to tell you that this is bollocks. Unless the elites are beside us, working beside us, getting dirty beside us, we did not create this mess on our own. High interest rates created this mess. Greed from the top created this mess. Debauchery created this mess. Again, us sending our children away from their mothers is completely unnatural. But being told, well, you need to go on medication or you're depressed, there's something wrong with you because you're not functioning in society right. Why would I don't know how to function properly in this anymore. I see now that God has straightened my mind out that it's rather insane. Why am I going to go to work all day, leave the family that I love so much? Okay, I'll go to work. They need to eat. But then I'm away from them for 8 hours. I'm sleeping for about 6 on a good night. That's 14 hours. I only got 10 hours left. And I got to take them to school. I got to help them with their homework. I've got to cook for them. I've got to get their food. So you're paying for a house that you're never at. You're paying for really high insurance right now and gas to get to work. You wouldn't need the car and the gas if you didn't need to get to work. You really wouldn't. Yeah, so it's nice to have a car. It's nice to get around. I don't drive. I made the choice a long time ago not to drive. Again, I saw this coming when I was younger, and nobody listened. I tried to warn everybody, and you know how frustrating it is that nobody listened, and now nobody wants me around as if I did something wrong. I've been trying to help. Like, I want to help the situation. So, what do you do when they knock on your door? How are you going to explain this? Well, what I'm going to do real quick while you're here is click on news, because I want to see if I can find the story that was recent about eminent domain in the news. Okay, January 14th, 2026, Gulf News, Philippines, your private property taken by the government, just compensation, and right-of-way cases explained. June 11th, 2025. Legal Corner. What is eminent domain and how does it work? Why is everybody talking about it? I just had the thought, like I saw things going on. I'm like, we better talk about this. May 30th, 2025. Eminent domain lawyers explain how you can legally face off against the government trying to take your land. Okay? There are resources out there. Figure out how you're going to stand firm against this. And let me be clear. Just because I don't believe that people can own land, I think that there's enough land that everybody can have a couple of acres very easily. We are an abundant country. Just because I believe that doesn't mean I think people should have their property taken from them. If you've been working that land for all those years and all those generations, it should well be yours. Possession is 9/10 of the law for a reason. Ladies, a lot of our men are in error. We need to learn how to have backbones without causing scandal and without, while still staying in our lane, because again, we are under a time of judgment. And I know this from experience. Nowadays, the second I get out of my lane, I get hit with that, I don't even know what to call it. I call it fire. You know how when you're a kid and you do something and you know it's wrong and you get embarrassed and your face turns red? It's like that now. Every time I do something, like I veer a little bit or I start to sway back to like my old ways of doing things or thinking, immediately now, I don't have to wait. Immediately now, God is like, no, it's not for you anymore. Like, get back here. Stop that. So, this person is talking. Okay, so I'm going to read some of this because I like to be active in the comment section and I like when people comment. This person says, what happened to agree and disagree in love with each other, right? The violent war video games are desensitizing people and their conscience about taking lives like it was nothing. I would agree with that to a point. I've seen my children, like my husband, whatever he is, he's like going to be 53, dude, and that's all he does. That's all he does still. Comes home and, like, he goes to work, but he comes home and plays video games. And I saw what he did at work one time. He had a game on his computer screen. Like, I don't know. I don't understand. Like, I've played video games and I've got like attached to certain ones. I would have to play it till I finished, but it never like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what happened with people. I just know that it all happened all at once. And I don't think we should believe everyone when they say they have a chip in their brain or something. But I don't know that it has to be in your brain because almost everyone that I know has had some type of surgery done during Rona when it was supposed to be like rare. I know a few people that totally changed afterwards. And I don't know, again, I don't know if the original spirit leaves the body willingly or if something happens and the spirit dies. With my aunt, she was legit having brain surgery. And she come out completely ignoring me, which she's the one who asked me to go to PA while she had this surgery. Calling this other girl her daughter. She's like one of the rainbow hijackers now, which again, I don't hate them. It's the mission. It's the agenda to remove age of consent. That's my problem. My problem isn't the community because I have brothers, sisters in that community, and I don't think they're all out to get children. Although I do think people in that community need compassion because something probably happened to them as children. And we all repeat these cycles. That's the problem. We've done this World War II thing several times over. We need to go a different way. And I think if things repeat like that, it is because we're being taught a lesson, but we're not learning it yet. So it's kind of it gets like you're banging your head off a wall. So let's see what else. Arlington, Virginia. Distinguished civil rights group and homeowner and landmark Supreme Court case support family hardware stores fight against eminent domain. So they wanted to take a hardware store in Arlington, Virginia. Arlington, I imagine places like the original 13 colonies, like Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, and probably the New England states, because those people are very, well-to-do. Those will be places you'll want to watch out for. And anything along the Mississippi River is going to be in trouble two different ways from the changing in the climate. And again, God tells us it's going to happen in the Bible. I don't care what you call it. I don't believe in climate change the way they're selling it, but I do believe something's happening, and I believe God's doing it. And we're going to talk real quick about data centers in one moment. So, eminent domain, figure out how you're going to deal with that, okay? You are sovereign. And I don't mean this bunk sovereign citizen stuff that you pull out some paper when you get pulled over and you start debating. I don't care about their words. I don't care about their loopholes. Listen to me, okay? Because I care about you. And I know that's hard to believe now in this day and age, but I care. I've been isolated so long. God has been growing my heart and my compassion and giving me a new heart. And that's kind of where I've been, is just contemplating and thinking about things. And I don't want to be another voice just echoing out, back at myself. I want you guys to take this information and do something with it. You are sovereign. You are a sovereign being. What does that mean? You need to understand how this works. Scare tactics. Remember that show, Scare Tactics? A lot of what you're seeing, even what I just did, telling you about eminent domain and telling you about debtors prison, it's very likely, it's just as likely that those will be scare tactics. Why? Because if you understand as a being that you are sovereign, you might not even be bothered. Okay? God has his time when certain people will be martyrs. I'm not going to deny that. But at the same time, we're not supposed to just cooperate with wickedness, with people doing evil. If they're persecuting you and that's doing evil. You don't have to cooperate with that, and you don't have to be persecuted unless you're willing. But they might not even have the right to touch you, to take your stuff, to do any of this. Now listen to me real close. There was a video going around about a woman, and sadly she ended up getting pew-pewed by a cop, a really big dude. She said something about Jesus. She rebuked the guy in the name of Jesus while she was looking for her ID and stuff. She was in her jammies. The cops come in. It's very unclear what's going on, and she ends up deceased. Understand the right way to do this. These people, other people that are here with us, especially people working for the system, unfortunately, they need your prayer, like our cops, like our EMT people, like our firefighters. A lot of them are Freemasons, which means they did these rituals, which means they have nasty, dark spiritual attachments, which for some reason or other have come to the forefront and kind of taken them over. The good news about that is you can deliver your family if you know how, and they consent. Mine aren't willing to consent. They seem to get along with their demons, so we are a house divided for right now. But God told me to stay put, so until he tells me to move, I'm not moving. Because it's a time of judgment. You are what this is all about. It's all about you and your soul, and it sounds corny, and people don't want to hear that. See, here's the drawing I did earlier, and I want you to see how it works. Now, I could have been like most people, and I could have done the inverted pyramids meeting in the middle, but I want to show you something. In Catholic Mass, we are told that and this isn't the Eucharist, but we are told that the Eucharist, when it is held up, and if it's done rightly, and if the church is done rightly, when the Eucharist is held up, the body of Christ, it's at a point in the archway, right, where it just kind of meets, and there's the windows that come in. It is Christ, it is heaven meeting earth at that point. Symbolically and spiritually, it's supposed to evoke something within you. Listen to me now. This is you, okay? Not a great version of you, but this is you. This little guy, okay? This is the heavens. Why? Because at the tippy top, you have the source of all things, which is God, creator, maker, fabricator, baker, whatever you want to call him. I don't care. I don't know that he cares. And there's you, okay? And what is this? This is Earth. What is Earth, guys? It is yours. It is your domain. We have agency here. We are also alchemically how heaven meets the earth. Listen to me. Why? Because you are made of the dust of the earth and the fire of the Holy Spirit. You are where heaven and earth meet. And within you is that thing that these beings want so badly to either take from you or to destroy and have you die in sin and go with them. Out of mere spite, because they know they're not going to win. They already know. And the ones that don't think they're going to lose are full of pride and they're blinded. These are very intelligent entities, beings that we're dealing with. Highly intelligent, highly advanced. This is why you need to pray and ask for help. Ask for heavenly assistance. But understand, you're not powerless. If someone comes to you in a uniform and tries to tell you to do something, do not be violent with them. Do not pop off at the mouth with them. Be respectful. Don't do anything, wrong. Don't break laws to have people. But if it gets to a point, right, where we have people on the streets all the time and it's just unavoidable, learn how to speak properly. No, thank you. I'm not participating. I am opting out. Okay? I'm not going to break man's laws, but I follow heaven's laws for earth. Okay? These people who have these attachments, they have no legal rights. Listen to me. No legal rights. What do I mean by legal? The heavenly court that makes natural law, the laws that you see that keep nature running, that keeps the system going. Little squirrels meeting other little squirrels, making baby squirrels. You don't see birds with fish making something else. That's where we got into trouble. And it's happened again. You want to know why time's going faster? What does the Bible say? God shortens time. Why? Because if he doesn't, there wouldn't be any flesh left. What does that mean? Trump is now paying people to have babies. Paying them to have babies. And they're anti-abortion. Suddenly these people that seem to hate children are anti-abortion. Why? Because they're doing it again. They're making purposely and intentionally genetically modified babies. And they grow fast. And they get very hungry. God told us the days of Noah would repeat. You're going to see these beings get big fast. This is why either they're making time go faster or God is doing it, or God is allowing them to make time go faster. They don't want you to notice how quickly these children grow. How quickly did Baron grow? Wasn't he just 9 or 10 years old not that long ago? And I know time goes a little faster when you're a little older. I understand that. Okay? I'm talking about I know when the sun normally sets. I'm talking about I know the amount of chores that I usually get done in a day. Right? I'm talking about things of that nature. Spiritual things now, okay? Listen to me. This is you. You are where heaven and earth meet. You are valuable just for being here. You don't need any extras. You are essential if you're already here. Okay? Yes, it did the land grabs have happened all throughout American history, unfortunately. They make you go through this game. And let me tell you, when all this began and I saw certain things digitally, that's how God showed me things. That, I didn't intend to track people or anything like that. I just went digitally into what was going on through Google and my family plan and stuff. And he showed me the warehouses, which I connected to trafficking. He showed me the storage units, and I'm like, oh my God, they're putting people in storage units. Like, I know that's what's happening. I know that's what they're doing now. They're using the underground tunnels for a couple of different things. You can move soldiers through there and nobody will notice that there's a war going on. You can also move valuables during times of war when nobody will see, so that you can hide the fact that there is a war happening. And the last and final one is any giants or other beings that are awake can travel unnoticed through those tunnels. And I know that sounds wild, but I've been talking about this since before TikTok blew up with all these short compilations. I allegedly met a fallen angel. He told me he was one in 2018. I went to Florida and the water turned blood red. And there was a spiral in the sky. The day I was there, a singer from Cannibal Corpse freaks out, a metalhead, talking about it's the rapture. And then I come back from Florida and my entire family's different. They're all different. My mother-in-law looks like Trump. Like, if she dressed up like him, she like her facial expression and stuff looked just like him. My father-in-law looks like the Pope Francis. You figure it out, man. Again, if I was an elite person, I wouldn't want nobody knowing actually what I look like. They've had AI and Photoshop for a long time. They tweak what they look like. They live beside you and me because they know that this was going to happen. They knew that this was not sustainable. People are going to go after the elites. They're already trying to push that agenda here on YouTube. Go after these people. It's all these people. It's all these people. How do you think these YouTubers moved up, guys? How do you think they're the new celebrities now, guys? Go through their channels. They did the initiations in 2017, and they have to film them. Some of them took the bath, the baptism thing. Some of them did the milk bath. Some of them just flashed the signs, and I hate doing it, but you know what I'm talking about. Wow. I know it sounds crazy. I know this stuff sounds wild. Why do you think I know all these things? God showed them to me first, and then they started happening everywhere. Because I wasn't supposed to pick up on the plan. People were talking around me for a long time, and I just wasn't paying any attention. And again, it was in code, but I picked it up because I'm good with subliminal messaging and stuff. Or at least once I woke up, I was. You got it. And they told me flat out that they were going to end me. They were going to sacrifice me. And once I figured out what was going on, I said, I don't consent. Just because I said I didn't want to be here anymore doesn't give you the right to take me out. I'm not being a sacrifice for any false god. Not happening. And God told me as well that the aborted babies, they are to not be called sacrifices. They are martyred saints. They are not to go to Moloch. Or the other one, Abaddon, whatever his name is. All right, so that's why time is going fast. Was that everything? Did I cover the whole title there? I wanted to make sure that I covered Debtors Prison, Eminent Domain, your finances, which I tried to cover a little bit. I feel like I'm forgetting something in that arena. And again, I just have one of those brains, like that's why I'm good to have around sometimes, is because I don't forget stuff I read. So I can just go look it up and be like, oh yeah, this is where I saw that, or that. Watch out for debtors, prisons, and asylums. If you don't believe me, go through the comment sections. Punch it in YouTube. We'll do a trending search if you want. I'll do it real quick. Let me go to YouTube. I'm going to punch in asylums. Let's see how many newer videos come up about asylums. That's all I've seen in the past year on channels I'm subscribed to. Is asylums and, and look at the comment section. When the first lockdowns happened, we were told not to talk about medical issues, that was private. Politics used to be a private issue too. That's why you go into a draped cubicle. That way you don't have to get into arguments with your family about who you voted for. That was the whole purpose. Okay? It was to give you that anonymity. And they wanted me to vote for Trump. I'm telling you, everyone that voted for him, they want a villain, guys. They don't care who ends up being the villain, but they want a villain for all this rage. And everybody's believing the Epstein files. Listen to me. We know we can't trust these people. They didn't give us those till way later. They mocked the whole process by having the influencers out in front of the alleged White House. When are we going to get it? Like, we are just a giant Truman Show. I would not be surprised if we are on TVs for the elites that are now underground. That would not surprise me in the least. Because I already know I've been watched. There are too many people that don't know me, that double take when they see me, or know things about me when I first meet them that they should not know. It happens all the time. All the time. These people are very bad actors, but they're never going to admit anything unless there's some act of God. Like, they will not admit to this stuff. But they wanted me, they tried to pressure me, and I've never voted. They tried to pressure me to vote for Trump. They want a reason to persecute some of us, especially people that have, angered them. They want that, to be able to give the public a reason. So if you punch up asylum and you go to videos, since about 2024, there's been an inundation of YouTubers exploring asylums, exploring the history of asylums, even ASMR, talking about the history of asylums, Go look at those comment sections and what they want to do to people who voted for Trump. Go look at Reddit and see how these young people are talking. We need to have a united front, Gen Xers. We need to admit to our shortcomings, the things that we did wrong, and we need to try and bring a calm and clear purpose to their. Listen, they have all this rage, right? And they have all these protests, and they have no actual goal. They have no end goal. This is why unions are good, because they help you think of an end goal, and they kind of protect you and help you to negotiate things. Oh, the data centers. Thank you so much. Okay, so the data centers. This is a weird one. This gets weird. RFB was talking about them yesterday, and I don't agree with everything that he says. I worry because he flashed the hand signal yesterday. He did the whole Mason thing, and I'm like, man, why are you doing that? Like, people watch. Why are you doing that with your hands? Just like Trump that one time when his sister was like, don't do that. Well, RFB did it in his video yesterday, and I'm like, man, I don't know. They can't help themselves. So again, people we trust, we got to be careful what we're listening to, what we're believing, because that man was like my Superman when I first started watching YouTube. I'm like, oh, he's so cool. He stands up for this, that, and the other. And now I'm like, man, you're just agitating people. You just want to agitate people to a point of violence so that the government then has a reason to declare and come against us. Now listen to me. You're going to say, well, why does the government need a reason? That's how you know they're demonized. Because spiritually speaking, hey, little girl, demons have no right to come after you. It was funny, I was talking about that. Demons have no right to come after you. They need that legal entry. That's why they're trying to agitate us to a point of violence, because then they can return that. They can reciprocate. Do you see what I'm saying? If we don't react, they have no legal right then to attach to us. Now follow what I'm saying. These people in high positions, especially people in service positions right now, because they want drones. They're basically human drones. Spiritually speaking, you are above them in the hierarchy, and that's important. There's people out there who are saying they're Christian, but there is no such thing as a hierarchy. God is an orderly God. There absolutely is a hierarchy, even if it's only God and us. God's here. We're under God. That's a hierarchy with just two groups. If you add in the angels and the fallen angels and all this other stuff, they're below us, guys. The actual angels, are here to minister to us. They're here to help us. That's their purpose. So when they're fulfilling their purpose, they have more joy. Just like anybody or anything who's actually doing the purpose they were created for, you have more joy in your life when you're doing that. They're here to help us. They want to help us. So data centers. They're using a lot of water. Follow me. If the water's just for cooling, and RFB said this, and I'm going to repeat it for anyone that doesn't understand, because my spouse right now he manages a car wash. I hate it. Like, he's worked in every industry that I hate. It's wasteful. It's very wasteful considering how people are living right now. So follow me. Water is life, right? And what kind of water is life? Not salt water, fresh water. Why do data centers need fresh water if it's just coolant? Okay, you can't use salt water. I get it, because salt breaks things down. Sure. But then you would just have a closed system, wouldn't you? You wouldn't keep needing more and more and more water. You wouldn't need to do that, right? If it's a closed system and it's just cooling parts of a machine, it doesn't necessarily need to be clean or sanitized to drink. Why then are they not just recycling and reusing it in a closed system, the same water over and over and over again? Why do they need all these towns' waters? Okay, so first of all, they're going to charge you for it. Water's going to be a luxury item, apparently. Now, this is where it gets woo. And I don't know exactly how to explain this. Remember all them internet cables they were talking about that were being cut in the sea? Who put them there? I want to get you to think about this for a minute. I want to expand your mind before I give you this thought. Who put all those cables there? If we were only so evolved, technologically speaking, industrial era, who put internet cables on the ocean floor? They've been there since the 50s. We did a study on it on this channel. We've only had the internet, us, since the 90s. Water is life, right? Water sustains living beings, right? I think it's connected somehow, and I can't prove this yet, but I think it's all connected to Leviathan, the behemoth, the beast. I think it's connected to a living, sentient being. Now, RFB thinks they're going to be used to open portals. I would disagree with that. I would not agree with that. Water is a conductor, but it can stop spiritual activity. That's why, like, if you see ghost hunters, right? And if they're having issues, they'll tell you to cross the river because the spirit can't cross the river with you. This is why sometimes you'll see a moat around castles, real old castles. They knew this. They didn't. Everybody accepted the supernatural back in the day. They knew that the spiritual was there. They have dumbed us down to this point so that we can't protect ourselves against that. But not just that, because they want us to die in sin, because they want to corrupt us, because they are jealous of us. They are the green-eyed monster. And I was told that when this all started. And apparently they really hate me because they keep messing with me. I think somehow it's hooked up to a living being. Somehow we're dealing with sentient life. Now, it's very possible they could turn these buildings into data centers. Or not data. They could turn them into debtors' prisons. The water is for the people. But guys, I don't think they're going to do that. If people get put in a debtor's prison, they'll be lucky. I think people like me, they'll get rid of. Like, we're just not desirable to have as part of a community. It's not that I'm attached to the old ways. It's not that I can't let go. It's that truth matters. And I don't think they should be rewriting truth or history. They've done that already. They've been doing it. It needs to, like, this repetitive stuff needs to stop. I don't think God wants us to sit on our hands. We're not supposed to just sit here and do nothing. Christ still held his ministry. He didn't want everybody knowing where he was because he didn't want the demons finding out. He wouldn't say it out loud. He would just go there. Do you get it? Sound, vibration, frequency. That's how they operate. Very soon, you'll be able to see these beings. I think these data centers and all the things they're playing with, you'll actually be able to see the attachments that people have, like I've seen. Don't freak out. Don't harm these people. Christ never did that. He delivered them. These people aren't going to want to fast because this is different than anything I've read about. These entities take over your family members. I've seen the bloodlust. I've seen the materialism. I've seen worse, but I'm not going to talk about it because they're people I love, and I'm praying for them that certain things improve. I don't want to see another family go through what my family's gone through. This is why I'm warning you guys. So the data centers could be used as debtor prisons, but I think it's something heinous. I think it's something disgusting. I think it's very possible they could hook people up to ChatGPT, so every time you ask it a question, it's hooked up to somebody who's like in a debtor prison or who is, enslaved. We've seen it in many video games and many movies. But if you're approached, remember, get rid of all this state government stuff. This is you. You are an alchemical miracle from God. You are where heaven and earth meet. You are above the dark beings. You tread on them. You literally step upon serpents and demons. Why? Because you're above them in the hierarchy. You should be glad that there is a hierarchy. I see other Christian channels saying, oh, there's no such thing. God doesn't have favorites. It's not about favorites. It's about your position. It's about your purpose. It's about your job, your function. And trust me, when you're operating the way you're created to operate, you will have so much joy because you're doing what you were created to do. They want that. If they approach you, learn how to speak. Okay? No, thank you. I'm not participating. All right? I've opted out of that part of the system. I'm not participating. I don't know what you're talking. I don't know what you mean. I don't understand. No, I don't understand. Don't ever say you understand. You're putting yourself under them immediately. No, I don't understand. I don't participate in the system. Again, you have to learn how to move and how to speak in each situation. I can't give you a script for every encounter that you're going to have in the next 5 or 6 years. But I can tell you that these beings will only do you harm or enslave you worse than you already are if you don't understand your sovereignty and your role. You are a sovereign being. They hold nothing over you. Nothing. You can rebuke them. You can cover them in the blood of Christ. You can cover yourself in the blood of Christ. If you would like to hear spiritual warfare prayers that I've made up, that I say, not for you to use them as a script, but to inspire you to write your own, let me know and I'll go over those as well. They're nothing like spectacular or anything. It's just things that I've gotten to saying when I'm in prayer. But yeah, don't go out there and break the law. But if they start making all these crazy laws and they suspend the Constitution, please don't go buck wild. We need people that are going to keep their heads on. Our children might not need us right now. There's a lot of estrangement in our generation, and that was done intentionally too. They don't realize it yet, but they will need us. They will need our skills. They will need our encouragement and our support. They don't know it yet, but I promise you that they will. Especially you moms. Hang in there. I know it's tough. It's hard seeing the people that you love change. It's hard being rejected by people that you've loved or that you've cared for, or that you've served. And by served, I mean by choice, the way a parent serves their children or the way a spouse serves their partner. It's heartbreaking to see that they don't seem to have any sense of their own free will, of their own agency, their own choice. We have to remind them, but we need to be gentle about it. And some of us are going to have to face facts that our loved ones are so changed because they've legit been replaced. And I know I know how that sounds. Like I get it. Sounds crazy. Follow me though. Observe the people around you. Do you really think that some of them are just possessed by some other spirit? Or is there something else going on there? Has it completely taken them over? Has somebody inserted themselves in that life? And I know it sounds wild, but observe the people around you. Do they eat the same foods? Do they go to the same places? Did they walk the same? Are their facial expressions the same way they used to be? Did they speak with the same verbiage and vernacular? Do they text the same? Ladies, and I know this sounds weird, do they smell the same? A woman can pick out her child blindfolded by smell, and I know this because I am one. They don't even smell like they used to. And it's so comforting when you go to wake your children up and you smell them right by their temple when they're little, and I used to hug mine awake or be like, hey, it's time to wake up, little things. And their faces would be all soft and squishy with sleep, and their head and they would smell, they would have their smell. They don't even smell the same anymore. So I think the data centers are nefarious. I don't think they are at all what they're saying that they are. And if they're using that fresh water, it is to sustain some type of life form. I told you to watch out for the Mariana Trench. And listen to me because it's going to be weird. In the Bible, the abyss is and I think there are real places. And at the end of this, I'm going to tell you my newest theory about location. But I think that Behemoth, the sea beast or whatever, is somehow these tunnels, right? It is connected to sea and land. We've seen it in movies too, like cavers, right? You go in a cave and there's an underground lake, right? It's like that. I think its home, its dwelling place, goes from land to water. I don't know that the being itself can go on land, but they're sustaining something that needs a whole lot of water to live, a whole lot of fresh water. That should be kind of scary. Like, and again, I'm not pushing fear. I think we should be prepared. We are sovereign beings. Learn how to use this. Your mouth and your words are the biggest weapon you have right now. This is why they want people silent. The only time you should be silent is in meditation, is when you're walking through nature, is when you're reflecting. We should be silent a lot right now. But at the same time, you should be rebuking, asserting your authority. And again, if you want to know how to say certain prayers to assert that authority or to rebuke, I've made some up. Let me know, and I will just go over them with you again, just to kind of inspire you. But you should do this every day. You should have some form of spiritual warfare every single day. It should be a part of your prayer life. This is how we fight. This is how we fight, with our words, because we are above them in the hierarchy. Anyone who has a demonic attachment at this point in time is below a Christ follower. Point blank. And I don't, again, I don't eat animals anymore. I don't believe in dominating because it's your domain or you have dominion. That is a huge responsibility. It means you're a caretaker. This is you. You are where heaven and earth meet. You are what's so important and valuable in this. You are what's going to be refined through this process and turned from a lumbical into a diamond. Let yourself shine. Learn how to use your words. You are a sovereign being. Opt out and do not participate in as much as possible. And read the Hopi prophecy, because I think we should go a certain way. Okay, end of this video. Real quick, let me tell you my theory. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. How many times do they talk about the valley of death in the Bible? And we have one here in America called Death Valley. Why? Follow me, because I'm not done. I said this before when we're talking about renaming places. Why on earth would a people escape religious persecution, right? And then come to a place and name everything after all the failures, like the Tower of Babel and the shadow of death, right? Death Valley. Why would you come here and name everything those reminders of those wicked, bad things in bad places, like the Tower of Babel? Because it didn't happen anywhere. It happened here. I don't know how they're doing it. I've never been in a plane, but I'd be really surprised at this point if we aren't all on just one landmass. I'd be surprised, because I'm seeing too much playing with the planes and the routes that they take and all this stuff. I think the Valley of the Shadow of Death is the Death Valley. And I think that things were a lot more recent than we know. The flood and all that. They added, I do believe in the added year theory. Are we in the season of Satan? If we are, again, these times are supposed to be approached in the same way. Numbers 13. I was watching Mr. Chuck Missler, wise man. If you want to learn about the genealogy in the Bible and the timelines, watch Mr. Missler. Like, no one beats him, I don't think. I think he's awesome. He's no longer with us. Like many, he passed away in 2017. The Rona test. And I found it in scripture and I meant to show you. We're not all going to be beheaded, guys. Persecution, it says, comes through the snake, through the serpent. Yeah, there's a part that talks about beheading, but what's a serpent, guys? Think. The prick of a needle, maybe? Why were all those girls in France in that music concert? Why did they all get pricked with a needle? They're at a concert. They're French. They're white. They're women who maybe could produce. They don't want that. Know the times that you're in. Why do you think everyone was doing DNA tests just a few years ago? They knew. A lot of people knew what was coming. All right, so I think that the Bible is a map, and I think that Death Valley is the one that they talk about in the Psalms. I don't think it makes any sense to move to a place and rename everything. I just don't think that makes sense. I do believe at one time it was probably covered with water. And if you look at the highest point in America, Mount Whitney, an ark would fit real nice in that spot. I think we're looking for the wrong kind of ark. They say it's on Mount Ararat. We'll go get it. Open it up. Walk through it. Show it to us. Why do we just get these satellite videos that are like 30 years old with no current? Everything's through a potato. That's what we get for everything. My son took the pictures when he was 3 with his, like, little kid camera. Little tykes or whatever they're called. So I think the Bible is a map. I think that we might just be one landmass, unless you can tell me you've been in a flight and you've watched all the way. I haven't figured out exactly how they do it, but I have a good idea. That's why they don't want you traveling right now. Make no mistake, the lockdowns are going to happen again out of desperation on their end. They don't want us seeing what they're doing out there. They're throwing up these, again, structures just like the World's Fair really quickly, whatever they're doing. They're totally revamping the White House. That should tell everybody something, because that's just not done. In Charleston, a regular person that wants to move to Charleston, I know this because I wanted to move there at one point and my uncle lives down there. You can't do anything to change the buildings. The city protects them. If they're from like the early 19th century, they will not let you do any upgrades. You have to get everything approved. But they got bulldozers at the White House. And I love that I was the first person that talked about the ballroom and everybody ran with it. I told you not to monetize this content, guys. I told you what would happen. I don't want to hear it. Like, when people start, like, I don't want to hear any of it. I warned everybody. God told me specifically, don't monetize this, these messages. People need this information. Truth needs to be free. And if I'm saying that, I have to walk it, right? I can't just speak it. People that are taking this information and running with it and monetizing it, I've warned you not to do that. God warned me not to do it, so I've warned you. All right, so debtor's prison, it could be a possibility. I gave you the reasoning that they're going to use. No, you don't. Christ told us not to have things like pre-planned, but you need to know the possibilities of what could happen so that you can be somewhat up to date and prepared. Don't go into that sovereign citizen thing. I wouldn't even bother with that, because that's just like, it drives the cops nuts immediately. Like, they're irritated. Don't do it that way. Just say, I'm not participating. I don't need any of your information. Whatever it is, I'm not participating. If you walk by a protest, somebody tries to, whatever. Again, I can't list every encounter you might have in the next 5 or 6 years, but I can tell you, remember your sovereignty, remember your role, all these people that are demonized, and you'll be able to start seeing it, especially if you're cleaning out your temple. There's this thing called reading souls. It looks like what you see in the movies, and I saw it years ago, and it's easier now to see. It's why you'll never see certain people in certain positions at certain times of the day, because you can see the silhouette behind them of the torn up wings. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. When I saw it, I was not on drugs. I was nothing like that. Nothing like that. But it was like Billy Corgan said, it was a moment of intimacy when they get excited. And I was like, I thought I was just seeing things. I was like, oh, I have an active imagination. And I forgot about it for years until I heard a couple more of those stories. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. I don't want to be damned. Are we going to be damned? We didn't know. They look like people. They look like us. That's why I do this. It's my act of repentance. And I hope the whole channel ends up being my perfect act of contrition for my children. I don't even care about myself at this point. All right, guys, be prepared. Don't be scared. Pray. And people like don't want to pray. They don't want to take the time. It sounds corny. Nobody wants to get on their knees to somebody else. I just told you you're sovereign. You're above the angels. If you really wanted to boss them around, I wouldn't advise it. You could, but I wouldn't advise it. Ask for help. Ask God to send you angelic help. Ask for divine intervention. But praying is key. You cannot be saved if God doesn't know you? And he can't know you if you don't talk to him. And talking to him is praying. And just take a few minutes every night. You know, if you check in with your kids, you tuck them in, you do that whole thing. Tell God good night. Say thanks for the blessings you gave us today. Thank you for watching out for us. Thank you for protecting us. Help me to see. Help me to discern spirits. Help me to see what's happening here. I ask God every day to help me to see things and people as they really are and not as I want to see them, right? And at the very end of my praying, let God's will be done and not my own. Regardless of what else ever else I've said, if God doesn't want to do it, his will, not my own. Right? You don't want that pride building up. All right, I'm going to run. My phone is dying. You guys are awesome. Thank you for participating. I really appreciate that too. I hope people take this information to heart and consider it. And again, I could not be more clear or more urgent about the fact, like, do no harm. This is not me agitating. I don't want you to get into any violent altercation. This is me telling you how to deliver yourself and those around you. Use your voice. You don't even have to use the word rebuke. You know that rebuke just means you speak against something, right? When people say, "Oh, I rebuke you," honestly, it's kind of dumb. Like the rebuke is what you say, right? With the full force of my will, I rebuke this dark entity in the name of Christ, with the blood of Christ, in the fire of the Holy Spirit. I loose you and I cast you out far from me to the foot of the cross for your judgment. In the name of Jesus, God's will be done. Amen. There's just a short example. All right, I'm going to bounce. I've got to take my pups out and have a little more fun with them before it gets too dark. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys, and I need the fellowship. Like, I don't know what. I'm so lonely. But I mean, I'm okay. You know, I'll be all right. This has been a lonely walk, but I made a lot of bad decisions that got me here. And so I hope you take to heart the things that you know, I'm not trying to boss anybody or control anybody's life. I just don't want to see people make the mistakes that I made. God bless you guys. Have a great